But from watching their first games, I think that there's not just a tactical edge to them in the way they play, but there's also a physical and spirit about their team, which I like. And I think that's been that may have grown slightly with the fact that they've trusted in a lot of those players that got them up. I like the style of that. I like the way that they've said, here you go, now go and prove it in the Premier League. And so far they are far from letting themselves down.
Not that you were really under pressure, but last week would have lifted any kind of concerns off your shoulders, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, for a nice weekend, yeah, sure, because we need to win games here. We've been playing well in big parts of games and not getting probably what we may deserve, but that's the reality of the league. You can't keep crying about that because you need to win. So it certainly helped, not just myself, but staff who are working towards something, players that were feeling good about, I think, lots of things we were doing, not quite getting the results we did at Norwich. But as the dust has settled for that personally for me, I still think we have a huge uplift in that, because I've watched the game back. I know that there are lots and lots for us to improve on, and the players know that, so that's good. That's a good sign. We got a result, we played pretty well, but I believe there's a lot more, and now we do have the confidence of that win, but we can't rest on that. Obviously it's important to back it up.
And finally from me, Mason called up yesterday, was great for him, great for Chelsea as well. James Maddison also called up, people saying, will they be able to play together for England, where will Mason play? I mean, for someone who was in an England team where forever it was Frank Lampard's in the squad, can him and Steve Gerrard play together? Where will they play together? What would your advice be to Mason when he meets up with England?
I'm not believing you've gone Lampard, Gerrard. I thought we moved on. I understand the point. I think
it's a clumsy question. We understand the premise.
Clumsy, I expect, but no, I think. There's been a lot of talk about my generation with England and ourselves, and we certainly won't delve back into that. But what I will say is, now sitting on this side of the fence, that we're good, intelligent players, and I hope we were intelligent players. But now, for instance, we played last week with Ross Barkley and Mason in the same team on the same side of the pitch. So there are lots of ways around it, and I think the modern player, particularly, is hopefully really good at taking on board information. And in Mason and in Maddison, actually, and it's not my place to speak so much about him, but we played them a couple of weeks ago and I was hugely impressed. I think you have two intelligent footballers that are adaptable, can interchange positions, so that's one for Gareth to sort out, but I'm sure there's ways of doing it.
Okay, last two, Liam and then Nizar.
Frank, Tammy Abraham's already had a lot to deal with this season with some of the abuse that he suffered and missing the penalty in the Super Cup. How impressed have you been with him as a person, as much as anything, handling all of that as well as the pressure of competing for a starting spot at Chelsea? Really
impressed, and I've said it the last 2 or 3 weeks. His character and how he dealt with the situation was brilliant in terms of the Twitter and the nonsense, and I spoke strongly about it, and but he's one that's dealing with it firsthand, so he's the person that has to rise above it, which is not easy, and he certainly did that in his response, because he has this character which is enthusiastic. He's a people person, the players love him, he trains with a smile on his face, but also a work ethic. So in terms of what I see on the outside and how he's reacted to that, and the competition of trying to get in to the first 11, I can't complain with. It's been brilliant. But back to Mason a bit and back to young players, that must stay and improve all the time now. Just about football. I mean, because he doesn't, 2 goals will not make or break, he has to now go, that's the start. And I have a feeling he is that kind of character. He's had a taste and he needs to push on, because there's competition up front, and I'm not playing young players for the sake of it. Tammy's playing at the minute because he deserves it, but he'll have to continue deserving it.
Okay, last question, Nizar.
Hi Frank, we spoke about Timothy Bakayoko and Davide Zappacosta. I was just wondering if Robert Kennedy or any others are in that sort of category where they could leave the club before the European transfer window closes.
It's a possibility. We are getting to the point now where the window is closing soon. I'm pretty clear on where my squad is, but they're our players as it stands. So we'll have to see how they both develop. In terms of Bakayoko and Kennedy, yeah, for sure, we'll see how it goes.
And Mount's okay from Black last week?
Yeah, Mason's okay. It's more with a dead leg, like a kick, so he's fine. He's been training.
Okay, cameras off, please.
That's all right. I'm only joking.